Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Kelly Rio. I'm the Executive Director of the Ohio State University Center for Operational Excellence. Thank you for joining us for our third installment of the Lean into AI series. The Center for Operational Excellence is thrilled to be hosting this series in partnership with the brightest minds in the Lean community. Those are our friends at Catalysis, Central Coast Lean, the Greater Boston Manufacturing Partnership, the LEI or the Lean Enterprise Institute, the Shingo Institute, and Toyota Supplier Support Center. Together, these organizations represent an unprecedented collaboration known as the future of people at work. And the goal of this Lean into AI series is to bring together leaders and practitioners from across the operation excellence community. And I'm seeing that there might be some echoes. Let me see if I can change that. Is it me? Okay, I'm going to keep going. So yeah, we are looking to bring the operational excellence community together to explore where the powerful forces of lean and AI meet and how they're evolving in tandem. And today we're pleased to have our a professor here at OSU, Jim Perry. He is a friend of COE and, as I said, a lecturer here, and also our series MC, as usual, Steve Pereira for a conversation that gets at the heart of feedback and where that we've heard across the community, which is sure, AI is everywhere, but can it actually help with the work I do every day as an operational excellence practitioner? We asked you to share some real life case questions and or use cases and manual processes that you'd like to automate. And then, so we can't wait to dive into a few of these crowdsourced examples with practical advice and mini demonstrations. Before we jump in, I want to remind you that you're invited to use the chat, reactions, and Q&A functions. You can use the chat to ask questions about technical challenges, share your experience, respond to the speakers, share your reactions. The COE team will be available there for your assistance. However, if you have a question for Jim, you can, regarding the content and the topic today, you can post those questions in the Q&A feature. You can also upvote questions posted by others. Lastly, please note that this webinar is being recorded for future viewings. It will be available through the Future of People at Work website and at COE's digital content library for COE members as usual. At this time, I'd like to introduce Steve Pereira. He is our Lean into AI series MC, who, as usual, will guide us through today's conversation. Steve Pereira serves as lead consultant for Visible Value Stream Consulting and is passionate about Lean, AI, and flow, and loves having conversations like this session today. So please join me in welcoming Steve Pereira.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for having me back, everybody. Let me dive right in because we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to introduce Jim really quickly. So he's a seasoned data and technology leader with over 20 years experience driving digital transformation for Fortune 100 companies. He's got expertise across artificial intelligence, data strategy, and enterprise technology implementation, helping organizations become data-driven, customer-centric, and operationally efficient. So this is the type of persona that you want advice from when you're talking about real-life AI implementation, because there's a lot of voices out there that are talking from a position of vibe coding with no real life experience, no rubber meets the road experience. And I think that it's very valuable to have perspectives shared from folks who've been around the block and know where these types of efforts tend to get complicated. And we're going to talk about a bunch of examples that I think exemplify this really, really well. So we've got 6 examples that came in from an auto manufacturer, a library at a research policy institute, education, custom goods manufacturing, decor manufacturing, and even a national bank. And what's remarkable is that Jim has actually already worked through these examples. He actually dove in I had no expectation that this was going to happen, and I think it's like it's a miracle that Jim has really poured himself into exploring all these examples, and that's really exciting to me because I think it's one thing to say how you would tackle something, but Jim actually rolled up his sleeves. So um, you're in for a treat with this. First off, Jim, welcome. And I just want to dive right into, the big picture of these examples. Um, how did you find the spectrum across these, and was everything a good fit from a perspective of a candidate for AI?
Luckily, the submission it was pretty detailed for each and every submission. It would highlight for me the technology, the AI technology that they had access to, what their problem was, and also what was the ideal outcome. So, as a technologist and someone working with AI, that is sort of the perfect amount of information to get started. To answer your question, no, there were a couple of examples in which the combination of the technology the individual had access to and the outcome they were trying to get to, they just weren't a perfect match. So you'll
Hmm.
see as we go through some of these that there were areas in which I won't actually do a demo. I'll talk about some of the things I observed and some of the things I may have tried and alternatives that may be out there that could fill in. Um, from a subject matter, we got everything from like help me with my emails, which is a relatively common one. Help me with PowerPoints, again, one that I hear often, to I need a th automated 3D rendering of a mosaic. So something very artful and not in Copilot. So a fairly good diversity of challenges.
Yeah, I really think we covered quite a broad spectrum. And thanks again to everyone who submitted your cases. I think that it's so valuable to have real life examples that aren't somebody's demo showing off what the solution was perfectly engineered for. And I think it's very lean to start with the problem, right? And so much of AI in the landscape right now is starting with the solution and thinking about where can we apply this? And that is just like a losing model, right? We really should be thinking backwards from the problem, backwards from the customer. So, um, Jim, you want to start us off with an example, one of these that came in that we can work through, and maybe
Yep,
I'll introduce the context. So this example, this is our first example from that came in from an auto manufacturer, right?
that's correct.
And so the quick summary here is that they have this daily process that requires logging into an internal web application, running a report, completing a data dump, so exporting some data, and it requires a security login, inserting parameters for time range, and then generating a report and storing data in a SharePoint location. So this, I think, it's a perfect example, right? Like this is a reality for so many people in knowledge work where we have data in one place, it needs to be in another place, and we just have to kind of pick it up and carry it over every day forever. This is what we think about when we think about the promise of AI is just getting us away from this toil. Um, but take us through, how you encountered this challenge and what you were thinking and how you went about trying to break this down and address it.
Sure. So just to sort of as a backdrop to all of these questions, I approached all of these questions with the assumption that the people submitting them had what I would call customary access to the paid version of Copilot or the paid version of Gemini, whatever. I'm sure there is someone in the audience who is saying there's this thing called Copilot Studio, and that you could probably do that with Copilot Studio. And that's probably true. The fact of the matter is 99% of people in the business do not have access to some of those more advanced tools. They need to go get someone from IT. So as a
Yep.
backdrop to what you see me discussing here, this is really meant to say, hey, I have a tool on my laptop. It's Copilot. My company has fortunately bought the pro version or the business version. What can I do with that? So as I approach this, the notion of logging in to an intranet website. So even though it's an intranet website, the user in this case was looking to log in with their probably their normal laptop login and password, and basically have AI facilitate getting the login, getting the date, and putting the information in a SharePoint file. When I put on other hats besides AI, my main concern is, do I want to hand my credentials over to Copilot? Is that something that is natively supported through your customary Copilot front end? And the answer is no. It is in general a bad idea to entrust your username and password into an AI process through Copilot. There are mechanisms in AI that can and do this and can do this securely. I want to be really clear, but those are not typically accessible to your sort of common everyday user in marketing or sales or finance or whatever. There is a feature, however, in Microsoft called Power Automate, which does have the ability to securely grab your access and do some of these steps for you. And so in that case, I was looking through the lens of what might they have access to. Power Automate might be something that's there. What might be able to access the solution securely with credentialing that is not exposed to the world. And again, Power Automate has some of those capabilities. And then moving the file into a SharePoint is sort of a knock it out the park for Power Automate. So this is why, when I say, can a different AI tool do this? The answer is yes. You could likely do this with Copilot Studio. But again, that is a much more technical solution. So that's why we looked at this one and said, I'm not going to demo this. I did add a footnote that if you're going to put data into SharePoint and then do analysis on it, Copilot in Excel has some really nice, robust features in doing the analysis. So just noted that at the end.
I think this is a great point. Like I think sometimes it can take something like AI tools emerging and causing a lot of disruption and attention to really knock us out of our comfort zone or our status quo and step back away from the work and think about, wait a
Hmm.
second, like maybe this isn't actually AI. Maybe we can solve this with stuff that we've had for 5 years. We've just been busy, sawing away at the tree and not stepping away and checking, are we using the right saw? Is this even the right tree? Is there a way to do this with what we have today? And so I think that this is a great example of how, AI is fantastic, but in some cases it's still not the right tool for the job. Something like Power Automate, I would imagine, is dramatically cheaper than using up tokens or, vetting a brand new AI tool because it's already through procurement. People are already using it probably. They have licenses, they have permissions,
It
all
is
this
a
stuff. So,
well-vetted machine,
right.
100%. The
So
security
that,
around it, its capabilities, its visibility and transparency in how and what it does is very, it is we call this an RPA, right? Where you're just taking a repeatable process and automating that. And Power Automate is born and bred for that process. It's like that's
this
its
is
purpose in life.
such a good thing to highlight. Also, I think that so we should also take this opportunity to step back and say, do we even still need to do this? Or can we think about the outcome that we're trying to achieve and work backwards to something that can avoid this process we're trying to automate entirely, get to the outcome a different way, right? So that's another thing that I just want to, that comes to mind is like, these are opportunities when we're thinking about, oh, can AI do this? To me, the first question is, should we even be doing this? And is there a different way to get to the same outcome, or, an outcome that's good enough? I think in very large organizations, we get into these modes where somebody said something once and we've been marching to the beat of that drum for 10 years. When if we ask them again, they might say, well, honestly, I could just do with this or that. I'm looking for
Yep.
this one piece of information. And as long as I get it, I don't really care how I get it, whatever. But so
Yeah.
just an opportunity to kind of step back from the work and really think about it from first principles. But I like this example. Let's move on. Unless there's something else you want to call out for this.
No, I think we sort of covered that one.
Great, great. Okay. So next we have a national bank. So in PowerPoint, we want to create a consistent look to slide design when pulling slides from different sources. And we're often pulling slides from different decks with different colors and layouts and themes, slide widths. I think everybody has grappled with this problem of, how do you get to something non-Frankensteinish when you're working across multiple sources and decks? Because
Yeah.
everybody just wants their presentation to look decent and consistent.
This is a question I field frequently in both my private practice and when I'm training through exec ed or in one of my courses. So, transparently, PowerPoint capabilities relative to Copilot are not great. The experience is confusing. I spent a day about 2 or 3 weeks ago because I was curious how many different ways could I create PowerPoint presentations, just like start from scratch. I want a PowerPoint. And Microsoft, and this is using AI. So using the AI tools available to you in Copilot, I took the same prompt and I identified 7 different ways to create PowerPoint presentations. Inside of PowerPoint itself, there are 2. So you've got one tool in 2 different ways, and they'll come up with different slides. So the capability of saying I've got this structure here and this structure here, and I want to merge them, or I want to continually merge them. Again, with the lens of out-of-the-box Copilot capability, assuming you have a pro license and you're not custom building anything, the bottom line is no. It isn't something that Copilot natively does. There are a couple of other AI solutions that I am a huge fan of. One is called Gamma.app. Is probably one of the best PowerPoint presentation, both creating templates that exists. It is completely separate from Copilot. It does have enterprise capabilities and security capabilities, but separate. If PowerPoints are your everyday solution, you need them every day. I almost always refer people to Gamma. There is another solution out there called Claude. So it's another, it's like a ChatGPT. And surprisingly, Claude creates some really powerful PowerPoint presentations. And I use it when I need to convert PowerPoints into, an OSU template or my business's template. And it does a pretty good job. Based on what this user is asking for, which is, again, I've got many different slide types. And given what I know for tools, this is probably the best way is to open up a template within PowerPoint and then open up the slides you want to get into that template and manually copy and paste them in. Not exciting, not full of futuristic feeling at this moment, and it's non-AI. There is a solution in which I'm hoping Microsoft comes around to, I think I have, no, I don't have it up. There is a feature in Copilot that allows you to create a brand kit. And by creating a brand kit, you can create a logo, create PowerPoint templates. Um, right now, there is still a disconnect between that brand kit and the automation of creating slides in that brand kit. But like so many things I see happen in Microsoft, sometimes so they build the building and then build the street to the building later. And I think that's what this is really representing, is that they're going to make the connection later where you can start to have a conversation with Copilot, refer to your brand kit, and have it published in that brand kit style.
All right. So we
Yeah,
have green shoots in that area. There's options emerging.
correct. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
That's correct. So there was a question out there: is Claude or Gamma university approved tools? No, not that I have awareness of. I do not use Gamma at all for my for any of the content, and when I use Anthropic Claude, it's for presentations such as this, not for classroom activities. Yes, and someone said it's improving rapidly. I agree that it is coming.
Okay, great. So let's get into where you actually had some pretty good success. So this scenario from a library, they have 6-month follow-ups with families involved in research studies in a broad geographic area. There's various time windows to conduct these appointments. They use texts and follow-up calls to schedule them. So we have scheduling challenges for follow-ups with geographic considerations. And this is currently a manual process. We want to be able to schedule these follow-ups for people so that they're not driving around on multiple days to various different locations. What do we do about this?
Yeah. So this one was a great one. I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second, and I will mute your microphone. Yep. I'm gonna share my screen. So give me just a second here. Okay, maximum. Okay, so we are looking at data that looks like this. So this was the file that was given to me.
I don't think I see
And
your screen yet.
oh, okay, hold on a second. Share. How about now?
There we go. Yep.
Thanks for keeping me honest.
Yep.
So this was the data that was given to me. So over here, you see these are de-identified client IDs. This is when their 6-month appointment is, 12 months, 18 month, etc. And their preferred library is Dublin. And so the idea is, can I look at the 6-month date and either add 2 months in front or 2 months in back, and 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 weeks in back, and then start to group clients together so that I have one appointment, maybe I put them back to back, and I don't have my counselors going to the same place, one day after another, where maybe I could have arranged the appointments to be the same day. So let's talk about a specific example. If you look at row 22, and I'll zoom in just a little bit for you so you can see. This person is due to go on 4/6 in the NCH main library. And if I look here, this person is due 4/14. So these two people could be, if we moved their appointments, it's possible that we could collaborate this. So their question is, hey, how do I automate this? So this took me some trial and error. I'm going to tell you that I did not just magically come in here with some sort of supreme amount of knowledge and then instantly get the results. The very first thing I needed to do was create a written document, a strong prompt that really described everything that needed to happen. And that's up here in this prompt library. So this is essentially a verbal description of all of the rules and all of the functionality that I need to have happen as an output, including creating some new tabs. My favorite thing to do here is I will take what the user gave me in this case, put it into AI, start to have a conversation, and I'll use AI as a collaborative thought partner to create this prompt. I did not just sit down and say, let me start typing out the prompt.
Hmm.
Now, I did run the prompt a couple of times, noticed what it built in Excel, and was like, oh, I don't like this feature that came in. And sort of like programming, I went and edited the prompt. So in the end, I get what I'm looking for. So I'll really quickly copy this and then I'll go back here. So here's the next thing that I did. I'll come out of here. When you open up Copilot, here's my Copilot icon. I already have it open. There's a new feature, I want to say, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks called Copilot Agent. And I can turn on agent mode. Let's see if it doesn't bug out. Fantastic. So now I'm in this agent mode. The real feature between Copilot agent mode and not agent mode is when I turn agent mode on, it can and will edit my worksheet. So, word of caution, before you turn agent mode on, save a copy of your Excel worksheet,
Hmm.
put it somewhere else. You don't know if you've put something in, AI tends to be very literal in its interpretation. So I always recommend if you're going to use agent mode, save a copy. The second thing, so just to repeat what I did, I just clicked on these two little icons and said agent mode. I'm going to go up here to this auto section. What this is describing is the AI model that I'm going to use. Now, recently, Microsoft has started using Claude as a model. And if you click on it, you can see here Claude Opus 4.5. Now, for those of you who are watching, I am actually in my OSU account. I have obviously the business version through OSU that has been licensed to me. So this is contained from a security perspective. I'm not feeding something that is not within the bubble of OSU when I do this. So I'll put this Claude here, and then I will paste in. And you're going to see me do paste and match style. And the reason I do that is sometimes if I do regular paste, it pastes it as an image, which I don't want.
Hmm.
And now
I
once
love
this
that.
is in here, I'll just hit go. And then we can talk about like, did I have any problems getting to this point?
Yeah, tell us about what it
Yeah.
took to get
Um,
this far.
so I did have a problem. I was just telling the group earlier. I got to a problem where I couldn't turn agent mode on. So one of the things about agent mode is that it must be run on cloud-based documents, OneDrive, SharePoint. So this file was stored in my OSU OneDrive. I went to my OneDrive, I double-clicked on it, it opened my Excel browser. I go to agent mode, and I got something that looks like this. Local files aren't supported. Upload this file to the cloud. And I went, I don't understand.
Yeah, you're
Yes, I
in
don't.
SharePoint.
I was in SharePoint. What I spent probably an hour doing research to try and figure out what was the trick. Thank you, Microsoft. Like, I am in the cloud. So just so everyone knows, I got to experience that Microsoft like handshake thing. And what I discovered is if you go into OneDrive and you open a file into the browser, it thinks that that file, for whatever reason, was a local file. And so what I ended up having to do was open Excel as a browser first, then navigate back to OneDrive. And then it said, oh, you're using a cloud version. I saw you just pull that down. But when you see this local files are not supported, you can see I get this big, like, no, no, not for you. Now, the reason Microsoft does this, if you remember, I said, hey, it changes files, is because when you do put this on a OneDrive and you run it, there is version control automatically built in. So if it completely messes up your Excel file, you can revert back. So it's not without good intention. I would say that its execution is like a little less
Ideal.
than perfect. You can see
Yeah.
here it's on step 8, and it's still working through things. So while it's working through things, we can proceed on with another topic, and then we can jump back to this because it will just work in the background, which is, by the way, that's what AI is for. Can it just go and do the work
Yeah. Let it
for me?
cook.
Yeah. So let's see here. I'll click on the next one.
Okay. So yeah, so this context is also education. Um, the process is hiring a student employee, but in the original posting, there was some discrepancy. Something was missed in the original posting. So now you're in a scenario where you've got to go ask every single applicant for the missing information. And you have this challenge where there's new applicants coming in all the time. Who have we got the information from? Who haven't we got the information from? This is a pretty classic tedious process of just reconciling data and going and reaching out to people who, we really, I mean, this is just painful at the best of times. But having it be manual and tedious is worse than the fact that, we missed something. We didn't really know what to ask for, and now we've got to get it. All these processes should be agile and iterative and friendly to, whatever we need as needs emerge. But this is not often the case. So tell us about how you tackle this situation.
Yeah, so I really liked this particular problem, and this is one of those problems that, first of all, it's a great AI problem, right? I've got emails that are coming in. Some of those emails are probably from my students. Ideally, I need to go and check my sent boxes and make sure I know who I've reached out to. And then at the end of the day, I need an Excel worksheet that I get, or some mechanism for updating the most up-to-date information. Oh, and by the way, new students are being added to the queue. So it's not like I just have a stable list of 10 students, and once I get the information, bing, bang, boom, I'm done. And it's really that last part, new students being added to the queue, that I think transforms this from should I use AI to I should use AI. It's
Mm,
important to sort of look at this and go, how much time am I going to invest for 10 students versus how much time am I going to invest on something that is sort of dynamically changing and needs ongoing maintenance? The challenging thing about this particular problem is there are so many ways to solve this, and it really comes down to how do you want to work? Um, what you're going to see me do in just a second is I'm going to show what I would call the keep it simple sort of method.
hmm
So if I go into the student list, this is the student list. You can see these are fake names, but down here on the bottom, I added Kelly and Hannah to the list. And I did that very intentionally because I actually directed them to shoot me an email yesterday. The main piece of information this individual is trying to capture is, are you federal work study status eligible or ineligible? And this person's been emailing people, and they may be emailing them back and saying I'm eligible or not. So I gave
hmm
directions to Kelly and Hannah to email me yesterday. And the idea is I would be able to come in here and say, look at my email from yesterday. Did I get any messages from anyone on this list? Now let's see if it recognizes it, and we'll let it go.
So let me ask, while this is crunching away,
Yeah.
When you encounter a problem like this, do you spend any time initially just talking to the AI and asking it, how would you tackle this problem? Or help with kind of like a brainstorming uh, initial effort to kind of explore the problem?
When I was first learning about AI, the answer is yes, all the time. As
Mm,
I have gotten more familiar with the tools and what I've seen work and not work, I've incorporated pieces and parts in that. So I still
right.
use that technique when I am coming up to a problem that I'm unfamiliar with,
Hmm. Hmm.
where I haven't solved it before, and I will say, go search the internet, go search, do some research for me. I typically will do research and I'll have it go find that information from me. Um,
Right.
and so that helps me from time to time. But in a situation like this, I can definitely go into Excel and ask questions. And
Hmm.
so this is interesting. We talk about hallucinations, and you see here it says, I checked all 14 emails from yesterday, and you didn't receive any emails from that list. So I'll pop over to my email. So I'll show you my school email. This is my school email from yesterday, and there's Kelly.
Mm.
So the other thing hallucinations do happen. And so sometimes I'll affirm and I'll go double check. I know I got an email from Kelly and Hannah yesterday.
And all of a sudden, of
Oh
course.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I totally missed that. So this is the human in the middle. See? Yeah.
Mm.
Can I explain why that happens? I don't know why this particular problem happens. I did discover while working on this that when you ask about emails received in the same day, so if Kelly and Hannah had emailed me today, typically Microsoft has not, it does this process called indexing, where it basically sort of creates a knowledge base of activities. And I could not get Copilot to recognize the day's activities in Outlook. The only way I could do that is by physically going into Outlook here and saying to Copilot, asking Copilot questions in Outlook. So you can see this person, Samir, emailed me, and I can say, did Samir accept my invite? And from here, I think it should work. We'll see.
Mm.
We'll see. But what I've noticed is same day content is not always popping up in the Copilot. So there you can see it. But if I go out into the Copilot app and ask it, I see sporadic performance. Sometimes
Mm.
yes, sometimes no.
Like
So
it's pulling from a batch job that gets
correct.
dumped into some other database.
Totally. So in this
Mm.
case, I can see that Kelly has said she is eligible. So it may be best for me to just go in here now and say, all right, well, I'm going to just copy and paste eligible down. And
Right.
it appears Hannah said a couple of times. Uh, let's see. I may need to go and see where this is. Oh, so I can see that there are two responses here. I'll have to go in and ask another question. At
Mm.
the end of the day, Hannah said she's not eligible. And I can also ask this question in here.
Right.
So I can load the file. So I can add a file, and I can go to student email list. And I can say, did any students on this email list email me this week? So do you see how like it's
Mhm.
do I push Excel into Outlook and then I interact with Outlook, or do I work in Excel back into Outlook? Um, my observation is the closer you get to the app, the better you're going to get your
Mhm.
responses in doing this. Um, See, it
I
didn't
think that
still,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
then
great.
that's just like one way. There are other ways that you can also do this where you create something called notebooks. So hold on just a second. I'll swap over there for just a minute. There we go. And so here I created a notebook, and in this place I can just tell it I got an email, or I can just start typing, and I can go to emails. And then I can
Mhm.
look down and go, oh, Hannah emailed me. And I can add that into this notebook. And this notebook will now know that she's eligible. So
Mhm.
there's just so many different ways. I could probably spend the rest of our time there, but that's not going to be not what we want to do.
Yeah, we have two more examples. So let's see if we can power through
Well, let's
the
go back
last
real
two.
quick to this. Okay, so here is the grouping. You can see it's now done.
Oh, right.
It created a 6-month tab, a 12-month tab. It organized who was grouped together. It created a new column called earliest date and latest date, documented their preferred library, and then marked whether the session would be grouped, like these three, or
Mm,
individual. And so now I have 4 tabs built by AI that solve that particular problem.
very nice. Very nice.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
this one's, I think, something that a lot of people are going to encounter as well. So, in this custom goods manufacturer, they currently review emails, meeting notes, transcripts from multiple projects and manually summarize key updates into shared documentation. And this happens every day across global projects with different time zones and information sources. I think this is a kind of a classic case, information overload, lots of interconnection and synthesis that needs to happen, stuff that I think AI does a really good job at. But you tell me, Jim, how did
Yeah.
you go about tackling this challenge where they want to update the shared documentation based on all these inputs on a daily basis?
So this one, the thing that made it slightly different, Steve, was the word global. So I have had the good fortune to work on a global team, right, where I had people overseas, in several different countries, all of us collaborating on one solution. So questions that I would typically want to ask is there an individual or a group of individuals who are responsible for the coordination and collection of all of this information. Um,
This is a great point. I want to highlight this
yes.
specifically because I think this is so important and applies to so many of these AI efforts. Is does somebody own this outcome? Does somebody own this problem to solve? Because if not, we're going to spend a lot of time throwing it all over the place, and it's going to take way longer to get to a solution that everybody involved thinks is good enough versus one person to say, here's the vision, let's get it done, and I know what done looks like.
Yep.
So just wanted
Complete.
to call that out because I think that this is one of those things that's not AI related, but is absolutely critical to making progress with these types of solutions.
Yes. And to your point, I often see that there needs to be a change in process that is human related in order to get AI working effectively. There needs to be someone who does something or is accountable for something before. And
Right.
oftentimes, when AI is done, something else needs to be done. If you think of the library example, someone now needs to go through that. We should spot check it and make sure it looks appropriate. You still have to coordinate all of the appointments and make sure when we say, hey, we're grouping you three together, do all three, can we line them up, etc. Um, so here's the thing. There are two different features in Copilot that that serve similar capabilities, but they operate with one really important difference. You can create agents in Copilot in order to essentially have a solution that can be shared across the company. Now, that doesn't mean your company allows for it. It doesn't mean because you create an agent that instantly it can go everywhere. There are underlying rights and security that stay in place. So, for instance, Steve, if I have rights to a OneDrive directory and you don't, and I share my agent with you, that doesn't mean you can see everything or use that agent to its fullest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a coordinated group of people who need to make updates, you can create an agent to do that. Now, I actually created an agent called this AI Fluency agent specifically for this demo. And if I edit it, one of the things that I want to, you're going to let me edit or no? What's going on today? Oh, okay, hold on. We're going to resend. This is AI for you, by the way. Sometimes things work like you want them to, and sometimes they don't. All right, so you'll let me do that. All right. Now will you let me edit? Now you let me edit. Idiosyncrasies. Okay. So what I can do with this agent is I can say, hey, you're tasked with knowing about the project. I have very simple instructions. Respond with most up-to-date emails, notes, and SharePoint information. What you can see down here is I've actually attached my SharePoint files. So the other question I would have for this person is, hey, I get that you're getting team email, team messages, meeting recaps, etc. Are your Excel, PowerPoint, and Word documents, are those coalesced into one SharePoint drive, or are they in one Teams drive? Because the other thing I can do is I can actually click on this Teams and I can go down to chats and find conversations that I want to pull in. But most importantly, I can pull in channels. So if part of this is how do you organize, forget AI, how do you organize outside of your process? And the more you can coalesce and put things in common places or in a Teams site, the easier it is for me to just point this agent at that site and set it and forget it. And whatever happens in that agent, if you put it there, that agent knows that information is there. But when I do this, I can pull meetings, I can pull recaps, and then I can also upload information. So you can say I added a team here. This allows me, once I have this agent builder available, this allows me to now pull that in and use that to create Word document summaries. I can have a conversation about anything I want. And then I can share this with you, Steve, and go, here, let's update this. Now, the fact of the matter is, for this to work, you have to be putting content in the SharePoint folder. When you have emails, you can create OneDrive. So you can take the email, point it to OneDrive, not notebooks, and then include that OneDrive in the agent. So the real efficiency is, can you organize in a way so that as you're naturally doing work, you can point your agent to those locations, and then it gets the updates without you having to go back in and say, I created this new email, I created this new blah, 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 blah. If it was just me and I was running the project, I would create a notebook. Notebooks cannot be shared. They are basically for yourself, but you can put, just like an agent, information about pages, chats. I can come in here and look for files, Word. You can see OneNotes. I can take an email or anything else and just bring that into this. I can hit slash, and then you see when I hit the slash, I can look at emails and I can go, oh, that email from Hannah, I want that to be part of my conversation. So this is just, a little bit of the the power of what we can do when we've got something like this.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to show this one final thing on this note. The person mentioned Confluence. There is a connector in O365 to Confluence, which does allow you to take, you notice there, Copilot, Outlook, and Teams. It does allow you to pull content from those and use natural language to push that into Confluence or pull it. Your administrator needs to enable that and then configure that so that it works securely for your organization. But I just wanted to show that there's this Confluence connector out there in 365. I'm going to stop my share now. I think we're coming near end of time.
Yeah, should we did you want to touch on the last one or do you want to go to Q&A? It's up to you.
Let's just touch on the last one real quick, and then if there is, let's see if there's anyone.
I've been diving into the questions and
Yes. Are there any good questions out there
trying to
that I
feel.
should?
They're all good questions. There
All
are no
right.
stupid questions,
No,
Jim.
that's
But
right.
we
I'm
have
looking.
some about some more advanced topics like RAGs that I think we'll tackle in a follow-up session because I think that's a big topic. That's a good one. Um, hmm. Some
Why don't
of
we
these are fairly detailed.
why don't we do
Well,
this? Let me show the last one because that
let's
takes
do
us away
that.
from Copilot. And we've been
Perfect.
so Copilot heavy, and there's a whole world besides Copilot out there that is pretty amazing. So do you want to kick us off
Yeah,
with what
so
this was? Yeah.
this was an interesting case. This is um, a bespoke manufacturer that designs and fabricates tile mosaics. So at the very front of their sales funnel, they take in information from customers about what design they want, what their goals are, and they want to produce kind of like concept renderings so that they can put those back in front of the customer and say, is this what you're looking for? Is this what you want to buy? So what they're looking for is kind of this more unified flow of customer input to proposal and getting that as tight as possible, as productive as possible.
Yeah. So this individual who reached out, we actually had a conversation offline. They have Google Workspace, so this is not a Copilot landscape, and for them that's actually really good news. So if this was a Copilot business environment coming to me, I would say you don't have the right tools. But because they're using Google, there's something called Opal in Google. And Opal allows you to create these mini applications using natural language. So it's a little bit on the side of vibe coding. Um, and what that allows you to do is I essentially took what this individual asked me to do and then I opened up Opal because I knew that that's where we needed to go here. And by putting in basically the description, this prompt here is what they gave me. Um, I was able to essentially create these steps. And then these steps basically say, tell me about the project, tell me about the architectural concept. And then out of that, you see generate 7 distinct architectural images. Create a looping 20-second walkthrough of the space. So this was interesting. I had to go back to the individual and say, listen, depending on your version of Google, how much you pay, it's always a matter of how much you pay. The 20-second loop is not generally available. You normally get 8. And that's because it's a pretty intensive process. So I'm not going to give you a 20-second loop. And then at the end, it renders the proposal and puts it out on a Google Drive. So it is leveraging their website, which is Ardiac. And then from here, you now can essentially get an app. If I click this preview button, I have an app now that Google created from that prompt that when I hit start, will start asking me to upload the image, and we'll step through all of those processes. I'm not going to do that here,
That's awesome.
but myself and the individual also talked a lot about how to create a video. And, transparently, I gave them one or two what I would call minor pointers. And this is one of those individuals who really took it and ran and created a fantastic prompt, which resulted in this little video that I'll play for you in 8 seconds. So this company makes those mosaics, and this is a 3D fly through showing what would be a 10-foot by 30-foot wide mosaic tile available for them. So, I think that, you imagine that, 5, 10 years ago, that that would have been a significant cost to go make that. And now between Opal and the fact that this person has that prompt, they can create this sort of on the fly as they need.
I think that's really cool. Speaking as a consultant, there's always this challenge where you want to show the client exactly what they're going to get, or, a very clear visual, tangible example of what are you buying? What can I actually help you with? And so I think that these generative tools and the ability to respond quickly is such an asset for that on both sides. So I really like that example. Uh, Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to try and power through two questions.
Yeah.
But Kelly, override me. I'm seeing a nod.
No,
Okay, good.
you go for it. Yep.
Okay, cool. So really, really quick one, I think, or I hope. When you add a Teams channel to your notebook, is that including all the files that is associated with the team channel, or
Yes.
just kind of the text?
Everything. That's
Great.
why you have to it's both super powerful, but on the other hand, if you have files there that you would rather not get into AI, don't put them there. You do in most cases, companies are choosing Copilot because of the existing security and compliance solutions that Microsoft is offering.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah.
And then
I
the last one
Yeah.
is hopefully short also. Um, uh, is a larger, more complicated prompt always better? And how do you balance kind of what you're prompting with, trying to avoid confusing or overloading the AI?
I love this question. So, uh, it depends on what you're trying to do. So when you're learning about something and you know that there are things you don't know, you're in that
Hmm.
scenario where like, well, I don't know what I don't know. My prompts tend to be more vague, more inquisitive, shorter, in order for me to allow AI to be less constrained. Um, if I know, on the other hand, that I want a 3D video, and I understand that I want it to be 10 by 30, I'm going to make very, very, very specific
Mm.
statements in my prompt. So my prompts in general, when I'm working for a client or I'm working on a project, for the most part, they tend to be more lengthy. We have to think of prompts like storytelling. Imagine you met Einstein on the corner, and now you've got someone with all this intellect, but they know nothing about you. Um, and they often do not remember things about you. So
Hmm.
starting to talk about an abstract doesn't mean that you're going to get a contextual understanding back. Um,
Right.
I told a story to someone the other day. I wanted AI to move my mouse and touch the upper right-hand corner. There was a button in the upper right-hand corner. So I said, hey, move the mouse and go to the upper right-hand corner of this button and press the button. And what I didn't realize was that AI was thinking it had to press the button in the upper right-hand corner quadrant of the button. So it kept missing. And that was a case in which I over-described. I was thinking like a human where I would give you directions. AI doesn't need directions. It sees everything on the page. I just needed to say, press the button.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I want to throw something out to the audience. This reminded me of books I used to read when I was a kid called Amelia Bedelia, and she was a housekeeper who would just take everything literally, and it was hilarious and some of my favorite stuff to read. So, AI as Amelia Bedelia. Kelly, I hand over control to you. Thank you so much. Jim, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
share for one moment
Yeah.
I have the QR codes. I have two trainings through OSU Exec Ed. There's a co-pilot training on February 26th. There's still a few spots left. That is a 1 day. We'll talk about all 7 different ways to create PowerPoint presentations, dive into the little knickknacks of Excel. And then out in June, I have a 2 day program. We'll actually cover a variety of different technology solutions so you have a better understanding of those capabilities. So I'm going to leave this up for just a bit, Kelly, while you talk, if that's okay.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you both. Boy, did we cover a lot of ground. And yeah, I just really appreciate both of you spending the time today. And thanks for putting these codes up, Jim. We have, if you haven't had enough Jim today, there's more. But before we end the session too, I just want to call out a few things. You'll get a survey as usual, and we'd love for you to answer that. We're always looking for feedback on how to shape the rest of this Lean Into AI series. And also, we will have the next segment or the next installment of this series in, we believe, in May, but it'll be coming this spring. So please watch your email for details and plan to join us then for that continued discussion. So thank you very much again on behalf of the Future People at Work partner organizations. Thank you so much for your time and engagement. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.